this meeting. I'm Gina. Feel free to come on camera. Kristen's here as well. We are your faces. Oh, hi.
Hi.
It's Treva?
Treva.
Treva. It's nice to meet you. I'm Gina.
Nice to meet you.
Got Kelsey in the house. Sarah's here. Erica from Nix is coming in right now. Logan is here. It's so nice to see everybody's faces and everybody's names. We'll get started in just a minute. Hi, Erica.
Hey, Erica.
Welcome, welcome. I have had the song from The Reading Rainbow in my head for literally the entire day. If you know that song by memory, please let me know. As you are coming in, let us know in the chat where you are, who you are, and your favorite book right now. And then we'll get started in just a minute. We've got a powerful evening of rituals. Where you are, who you are, and what your favorite book is right now. I see Sarah typing in right now. Sarah, great job. Hi, Maria. I only said one of your names. Did you notice that? It took a lot.
Why?
I don't know. Well, you can call me Gina Anderson Cohen. Maria Fernando Wetzel is here. Hi, Casey. Casey's in the house. Okay, friends. In the chat, let us know. Oh, hey, Treva. My favorite book right now is Delicious by Ruth Reichel. Is Reichel right?
Yeah.
Kristen gave it a big head nod. Kristen is our most vocal reader.
That's her new book. I had read one from her, like something about plums being delicious.
Yeah, it's not that new, but it's her first novel. Everything else she wrote is like a memoir about her life, but it's very good if you like food.
I'm a person with a stomach, so yeah.
In fact, we do like food. We've got, folks still coming in. As we're coming in, let us know who you are, where you are, and your favorite book right now. We've got Goldfinch from Andrea. That's great. Casey. Reminded of the children's book, 100 Dresses. Oh, that's cute. I believe Casey is also cooking right now, which is lovely. Mm-hmm. Kristen Lexington, favorite book right now is Bravey. Kristen will have a very fun announcement at the end of this reverse book club / ritual night about that. Kelsey in Chicago just finished It's Your Ship about management techniques. I feel like, Kelsey, you're doing a lot of nonfiction lately. I love that for you. Maria Fernando Wetzel in Chicago reading right now The Vanishing Half. I've heard great things about that book. Kristen, have you read that?
I have.
Of course you have. Lucy Sola in Chicago. Favorite book right now is Writers and Lovers, or Detransition Baby. Detransition Baby was the book club book for, I'm blanking on her name.
Lots of
it Reese
right now. It's pretty popular.
Yeah, it's a book club book. Not Reese. Maybe was it Reese too? I'll think of her name.
I don't know. Yeah, I think a friend read it on Goodreads, and then I was like, "Ooh, I got to read it." And then I just did, and it was really good. I recommend.
One of those books that I feel like has gotten a ton of buzz in the past week, and it's already been optioned for either a movie or a TV series.
It's insane.
I think it's a first-time author too, right?
That's great.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next one is The Wrong Family fiction. Kelsey.
What?
Hi, Caroline.
Why are you being so nice?
Samantha Reyes, this is the last one I'll read and then we'll kick it off, I guess. Samantha Reyes in LA, currently reading The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. That sounds very heady. Probably something I should read. A morning read, not a bathtub read. We'll talk about our reading rituals later. Mm-hmm. Kristen, Erica, should we do this thing? Let's do it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen and I'll ask you all the question I'm going to ask, and you'll have to give me a thumbs up. Can you see my screen? It says The Power of Ritual. Thumbs up. Excellent. Okay, well, first, actually, I should introduce myself. I'm Gina Anderson Cohen. I'm the founder and CEO of A Sweat Life. With me is Kristen. Kristen, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Kristen. I'm the Chief Content Officer at A Sweat Life.
And we also have Erica here from Nyx. We'll tell you more. Nyx is going to be ingrained in tonight. But Erica, would you like to share what you do at Nyx and what Nyx is all about?
Sure, yeah. So Nyx is a Swedish style snack company. We're no longer just ice cream. I'm sure some of you got some bars this week, which is very exciting. But I am a marketing manager here at Nyx, focusing on loyalty and a little bit of outreach too. So I'm so excited to be here for this awesome workshop today. Thanks for taking it away, Gina.
Yeah, we're very excited. Who has a dog? Oh, that's exciting. Okay, so tonight is going to work a little differently than maybe a traditional book club. We're calling it in our neck of the woods at A Sweat Life, almost like Reading Rainbow or a reverse book club. Kristen and I are going to talk through some of the things we love about The Power of Ritual, a book by Casper Kuile. And then we will also share, that's how you say it, Kristen.
Good.
Yeah. I've listened to a lot of his podcasts lately. And we're also going to share some moments where we can reflect together. That's part one. Part two, we'll workshop a ritual that you can bring into your own life. So we'll take kind of what we've learned from the book, what we've learned together, what we've shared tonight, and you'll make your own ritual at home. And then part three, we'll do a ritual together. We'll bring it full circle. And we will, if you were able to get your Nyx coupon already, you might have Nyx to join us in a shared ice cream ritual. If you haven't gotten your Nyx coupon yet, I would recommend tea for that ritual, because we can do the same kind of thing, or maybe even like a bowl of grapes or some fruit. We can talk through the same kind of steps. You'll still get your coupon. And guess what? Rituals can be repeated. That's the thing about rituals. Here we go. So big thanks to Nyx. Nyx is making it possible for us to do this evening. You already know, if you've gotten your coupon, that you should have a coupon. If you didn't get your coupon, email me, or if you didn't get the email this evening telling you how to get your coupon, let me know and we'll make sure you get one. And Nyx, we love them because they are a better for you brand. Erica was mentioning that not only do they have ice cream, which we're going to feature in our ritual, they also have these bars. And Erica, may I say, they taste like candy meets delicious. I think she agrees.
Yes, I say that. I agree with you. They are, it's very fun to watch people have them for the first time because they are like magic.
Surprisingly delicious. And so we're excited for you all to try them eventually too. And there are three things that we're going to sort of see, or three reasons why we love working with Nyx. Three main reasons. There are lots of reasons, but those are their Swedish cultural sensibilities, which we really see in kind of the celebration of the seasons in Sweden, and just this kind of, you know, like higgy culture, snacky culture, gathering together kind of culture. Right, Kristen? I saw a Kristen nose wrinkle and I was like, I tried my best. And then we also love Nyx's love of movement. We've partnered with them for a lot of movement activities and their support of great food and chefs. So we've seen a lot of that come through in our partnerships with them. But let's jump in. You ready? Ready. Okay, cool. The Reading Rainbow. Here we go. Let's start with the big question. What is a ritual? So this is answered. Kristen and I both have the hardcover version of this book. But as we love about libraries and books and e-readers, you can get all sorts of books, all sorts of places, and you may have different page numbers. So apologies in advance if you're reading a different version, or if you don't have the book, you can get the book later or check it out from your local library. So there are three big characteristics of a ritual, according to Casper Kuile and his co-conspirators, who he has done some research with. And those are intention, attention, and repetition. We're going to break them down, but you'll also see it. I want to call it out now because you'll see it throughout tonight's workshop. Lectio Divina. This is one of the things that Casper Kuile and his co-host on the Harry Potter and the Sacred Text, I should say. It's one thing they love to do, which is essentially reading for additional context or meditative reading. So you'll see us do that throughout tonight, but back to it. Intention. That is a question of what are we inviting to this moment? What do we want to get out of this ritual? What is the why? And then attention is more about being present in the moment. And the repetition is pretty simple. It's doing it repeatedly to make it a ritual. And before we jump into the readings, Kristen, do you have anything to add to this?
I think right off the bat, this introduction is instilling in us to be thinking about mindfulness, which you really see in both the intention and the attention parts of what makes a ritual. So keep that that mindset, I guess, of mindfulness in the back of your head as we continue through our Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow. And you'll also see that Casper ter Kuile throughout the book, if you've read it or if you plan to read it, he really believes that anything can be a ritual. You're already doing a lot of things in your life that if you pay attention to it, if you give it intention, and it already is a ritual. So let's kick off our first Lectio Divina. We're going to read 2 quotes, and then we'll take a little time to reflect on those. These quotes are both from The Power of Rituals. That makes this slide a special one. The others have some mixed up quotes. The first one: so though you may take the dog out for a walk numerous times a day, this applies to both Kristen and I, by the way, ticking off the repetition component isn't a ritual practice if you're also on the phone, because you're not really paying attention to your pup and the walk you're on. So I'll ask you, if you're listening, I'm sure you are, to maybe hit the chat up and let us know what that makes you think, what that gives you, what that brings. Let us know what that quote made you think about. Oh, Kelsey said the bar is really good. The second quote: just about anything can become a spiritual practice. Gardening, painting, singing, snuggling, sitting. And that's from page 26 in the book. And that goes back to kind of what Kristen and I were both saying, this meditative element, as well as the things in your life already are very ritualistic. And ter Kuile uses the word spiritual sort of in conjunction with rituals in general. So we'll ask here that you reflect. If you have a notebook or even just a Word document open, reflect on what one thing is you do every day that can be shifted from a habit into a ritual. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and share that in the chat with us. Kristen, what's your answer?
I feel like you and I are going to have the 2 same ones. So I'll take one and you take the other. I'm going to take the one that I want. Yeah, walking the dog is a super easy practice, and you'll hear me talk about this later on too. I typically walk the dog pretty early, so between 7 and 8 a.m. And I love that it's, sort of the first way that I get to introduce myself to the day and like sort of set the tone for a good day by like spending this bonding time with the pup, getting outside, getting that sunshine, and hopefully taking time away from my phone, because being intentional about technology is something that we will hear about more later on this evening. Gina, I'm curious if you're going to say the other one that if my prediction is correct.
Probably mine, and then I'm going to read Maria's chat because it's a good one. Mine is probably my workout, because as we've gotten more homebound in our workouts, it's really easy to kind of half it, like be in it, but also have your phone out, so that you're kind of half in the workout and half already working. And I think it's a really nice practice to just be sweating and paying attention to what my body feels and what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. That is not what I thought you were going to say. So
what do you think I was going to say?
You still surprise me after like 8+ years. Now that I think it through, I can kind of talk myself out of this one, but I thought you were going to say making coffee.
Oh, that's a good one too, because that's a 5-minute ritual. Well, and I can talk about this all day. My husband got a fancy coffee machine, so it's less French pressy and more button pushy.
Your French press was what I was thinking about specifically. I feel like you were on that kick for a while.
I sure was. I'm going to bring it back. So we have from Maria, she said, we tend to go through life with our attention in an unconscious state. We need to bring our attention to our conscious state. Put that on a doily and pass it down for generations. That is wisdom. Patty McKnight says yoga. I love it. Love that for you, Patty. Karen Matson said hikes or walks that I do almost every day. Yeah, just breathing the air and paying attention to how it feels in your nostrils.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sarah, my partner, always calls me out for being on my phone while on the Peloton. I've tried to be more intentional lately about not bringing my phone on the bike. Good for you.
I find that like if I even just leave my phone within arm's length, like I think about it so much more. So I try to like set it on the floor behind me or somewhere where I'm just not going to notice it.
Out of reach, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's skip ahead. Are we ready to talk about reading as a ritual? I sure am. I think Kristen, I could kick this off, but I feel like you're sort of the reader. Do you want to take this slide? I mean, we're both readers, but you're like the reader.
You love labeling me as the reader. Yes, I can take this one. Kuile, yes.
Or Casper Kuile, yeah.
Kuile talks next about, as an example, you know, how you could make reading a ritual, which I love that he used this because I feel like reading is one of those things that we constantly hear our community talking about in terms of like things they wish they had time for. And I think a really good way to convince yourself that you do have this time for reading is to make it special, to make it something that you like look forward to instead of something that's a chore. So that's what I was thinking about during this section. So he also goes a little bit deeper into how to get more out of your reading than just like getting a page count under your belt. So with that in mind, his first step to that is to ask yourself what's literally happening in the narrative. So this is the surface level, very shallow description that like you would give at your 5th grade book report. And then in stage 2, you go a little bit deeper, asking what allegorical images, stories, songs, or metaphors show up for you. So are there any hidden meanings that you can see? And I think it's important to note right here too, that like, there's no right or wrong answer. Like this isn't a high school English class where you're going to get called out by saying that the horse symbolized the narrator's dead sister or anything weird like that. Like you can make this up in however way that like you interpret. So there are no wrong answers. And then stage 3, what experiences have you had in your own life that come to mind? So a way to make it really sticky in your brain is to connect it to you and your personal experience. I know that is a way of making a book stay with me long after I've closed it, is to think about how it like related to my own life and how it made me look at different parts of my life through a different lens. And then finally, what actions are you being called to take? This is something that I know Gina and I have a soft spot for, because whenever we sort of examine content for a sweat life, we want to make sure that all of our blog posts or articles end with something actionable that the reader can do. So I loved that Kuile included this too, asking what actions you're being called to take, whether that's further reflection, maybe on an internal level, maybe more reading, more learning, or examining different takes on whatever this author is talking about. And then that gives you a next step for an easy way to continue making reading this ritual.
Amazing. Should I do the Lectio Divina?
Yeah.
All right. We've got 2 quotes. We're going to do the same thing as our first slide. We'll read them back to back and then we'll reflect. The first one is from Kuile from page 49. And the second one is from a classic, To Kill a Mockingbird. So the first quote is, reading is a path to greater awareness, to courage and commitment, to helping us see our mistakes and to finding a better way forward. So within that quote, we kind of hear that that 4th step, you know, that finding the action, the forward, which I really love about that. And then the second quote, I think hits really hard when you think about all the other things that you do instead of reading. This is the quote: until I feared I would lose it, I never loved to read. One does not love breathing. So as you look at those passages back to back, follow that stage or follow those stages for reading for ritual and tell us what that makes you think. Let us know in the chat or just write it down for yourself. Is there anything that you'll bring into your life from these 2 quotes? Kristen, what did that bring up for you?
So I kind of laughed at this last quote from To Kill a Mockingbird when they say one does not love breathing. It's something that I've thought about in the past few years, but the feeling after you have a cold. You know, when you have a cold and you're like stuffed up, sinuses are clouded, you like can't breathe for the life of you. And then that first day when you feel like you're totally healed and like you can inhale, you can exhale, there's nothing clogging you up. That's kind of what I was thinking about. And it feels very silly, but we're in a safe space here.
Yeah.
There you go.
I love it because I think the feeling of breathing, when you haven't experienced it for a while, is kind of what I'm like, haven't experienced a full breath in all of your senses is kind of what I was thinking too. And that's maybe what it brings up for reading as well. Like sometimes we don't read nonfiction for a while. We only read fiction or vice versa. And then when we come back to it, it's so powerful. It's almost like the smell of spring air. Okay, so we have an anonymous comment that I'd like to share with you. And the comment is, my grandma is going through dementia and she cannot read books anymore because she loses her short-term memory and can't remember the last page she read. The first quote really hit me. Oh, I feel that so much. And I totally understand that feeling. My grandmother lost her sight towards the end of her life and she loved to read as well. So I understand sort of that secondhand emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that, anonymous share. We'll take a second to sort of think about that. I think, Kristen, I left a blank space for you to share this.
I was supposed to fill that out and I didn't. So you guys get to be surprised.
Let's listen to, Kristen and I are going to share how we read for ritual. And then I'd love for all of you to kind of share your own rituals or kind of start building one or thinking about it. Kristen, what's your reading ritual?
Yeah, like a lot of people, I find that it's easiest for me to read before bed, and that has the kind of double-sided benefit of me not looking at my phone before bed. So I do all my fancy skincare, I wear pajamas. Like I'm a big fan of dressing for bed, so I put on my pajamas and I have this lavender mist that I spritz on my pillows. And then I turn on my little bedside alarm clock that has the sunrise light feature and crawl into bed and I read from there. And usually just as long as it takes until I get a little bit sleepy, but that is my time and place and how I sort of prepare myself to get in that mindset.
I love that. That's a very Christian ritual. Oh, I screwed up my bullets. We'll pretend that says bed. So for me, my ritual surrounds time, place, and mental health. Time is before bed, just like you. But I am sort of I would say I'm really a sucker for my devices. Like my devices get in the way of anything not on them. Dogs, loved ones, any outstanding thoughts, feelings, or emotion. So in order for me to read, I have to separate myself from those devices. And so I put it in a place. I always read in the bathtub. And sometimes that means I get some soggy pages. But it's a lovely little ritual for me. So two things from that. One, my phone and devices are out of reach because I literally cannot drop them or cannot risk dropping them in the water. And the second one is science. So research shows that regular reading improves brain connectivity, increases your vocabulary and comprehension, empowers you to empathize, which is very similar to what Kuile says, and also aids in sleep readiness, reduces stress, lowers blood pressure. It's head to toe good for you, period. Go ahead, Kristen.
I was gonna say, you know what I love about that too, specifically like the being in the bath part, is they say that you get ideas more easily in water, like in showers or when swimming or in the bath, because you don't have your devices at your hand to like immediately Google, you know, who won the Olympic gold medal in figure skating in 1992. Like you just have to kind of let your mind wander and try to problem solve that way. So like being in water really, I think, allows you to open up a more creative side of your brain.
I love that. And I think that's a fun way to think about a very woo-woo thing too. Like I've been told that as a Sagittarius, I am drawn to water. I'll read this chat from Lucy Sola. She says, love this. I think I've definitely been trying to challenge my perspectives via reading, and I've noticed the growth in perspective. That's great, Lucy. Identification of past mistakes. It also makes me think I've been living without realizing this for my whole life. kind of like when you suddenly can't breathe and didn't realize how much you took it for granted before. Lucy, that's great. Plug into the chat maybe what you've been reading and why you love it so much, and we'll come back.
Or what your reading rituals are, if you have it.
Excellent ad. All right, let's talk about taking a tech break. Kristen, you want me to take this one?
Yeah, let's switch off.
Okay, cool. So this is all about taking a tech break. Kuile has a ritual that I love very much. We are actually interviewing him for our podcast, We Got Goals, this Friday, right before this tech break. He takes a technology Sabbath, he calls it. So from sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday, he's tech free. And he gives kind of some hot tips on how to make your own ritual for removing technology from your life for a little bit or for a lot of it. So let's make it a ritual. First, make it intentional. You want to understand what you want to get from your time away from technology. If you're just doing it to do it, it might be fine, but also it's nice to think to yourself, I want to connect with my family more, or I'd like to be more aware of what's going on in the world around me. I want to breathe the air. I want to make friends with nature, whatever it may be. Make it intentional. Pay attention to what comes up. So just like Kristen was saying, if you're sort of removed from your devices, what is it that your brain does when you can't immediately Google the thing that you missed, when you can't immediately think about that book club that you were reminded of at the beginning of this call, but don't have the answer right away because you're sharing your screen. And then repeat it. So once you make it a ritual, obviously you want to give it a time and give it a place in your life. It can be seasonal. It can be weekly. It can be daily for half an hour or an hour. You want to make that a pretty regular thing for you in a way that makes sense for your life. Let's do our meditative reading. 2 quotes here. One is from The Power of Ritual, of course. And the second one is from Maya Angelou. The first is about his tech Sabbath. So Kuile says, I have been observing a tech Sabbath, 24 hours of not using my laptop or phone from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. No email, no social media, no nothing. That's page 67 of The Power of Ritual. Think about that for a second. What comes up for you when you think about 24 hours of no email, no social media, no nothing, as Kuile puts it? That stresses me out. What if there's a work emergency, Winnie says? Actually, that's a great question, Winnie. He actually addresses it directly in the book. He has never let anyone down, he says, in those 24 hours being away from his tech from Friday to Saturday. So no one has died, and he hasn't missed an opportunity because of it. Kelsey
Probably
says,
a little easier for Harvard Divinity School students than a doctor. Or
probably.
Something. Like, I know I personally thank you, Gina, but I do not have the job where there's often a work emergency from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown.
Kristen has very good boundaries too.
I do.
Second quote from Maya Angelou. She says, every person needs to take one day away, a day in which one consciously separates the past from the future. Jobs, family, employers, and friends can exist one day without any of us. And if our egos permit us to confess, they could exist eternally in our absence. So as you think about those 2 quotes back to back, a tech Sabbath and the way Maya Angelou thinks about the world with and without us, our employers with and without us, reflect on that and think about when you purposefully take a break and when you could add one. Someone shared directly to me, I will not say who, anonymously, before working from home, she used to put her phone in the bathroom so she wouldn't use it after work hours. It allowed her to focus on making healthful meals and living in peace at home. I love that. I actually do the exact same thing. And we'll talk about that on our next slide here. Anyone else have anything come up as you read these 2 quotes back to back? Kristen, what came up for you?
This last line of the Maya Angelou quote where it says, if our egos permit us to confess, they could exist eternally in our absence. And I think about that a lot in relation to like when you're worried about whether other people will miss you or need you, and you just have that feeling that like the world will, like it goes on without you once you return. Like you come back and you're like, oh, everything was just fine. And I think the way that I'm phrasing this makes it sound really cynical and depressed, but like no one really misses when you don't post on social media for a day. No one notices, no one cares. And I think that's kind of a healthy attitude to adopt outside of tech as well, or social media. You probably have a lot more freedom than you think you do in terms of what other people are going to think about you or notice.
Yeah, I love that. I experienced that very firsthand when I had a big absence from work in an emergency surgery last summer. I was kind of the mind that, oh my goodness, if I take time off, everything will stop. And I had to take time off, and guess what? Nothing stopped. The team was fine. They figured everything out. So yes, everyone can take time off.
Well, Gina, you've also gone through like weekends where you've told us like, hey, I'm hiding my phone. I won't be available. I'll check in when I'm back. Right? I'm not making this up.
No, that's true. That's true. I've been better about that during the pandemic because I'm worse about vacations. From Kelsey, she says, our egos likely make us feel more important than we really are. People can continue forward without us. I love that, Kelsey. Maria Fernando Wetzel says, my phone is always on silent. It helps me to focus on what I'm doing in the moment and not constantly check it with notifications. Those notifications are tricky. Lucy agrees with you, Kristen. Like when you come home from a vacation where you don't have service and it's actually all okay. It is almost always all okay. Ooh, Casey, I like keeping my phone on do not disturb. Same, all the time. It really helped me not check my phone constantly.
Yeah.
Love that. All right, Kristen, should we talk about our tech breaks?
Yeah.
What do you do to take a break?
Okay, so I'll be upfront and say that this has not been happening recently, but I was in a really good streak for a while. So something that is constantly on my mind is this quote from Psychology Today, that during these first few minutes, and that's of being awake, your mind and brain are most receptive to influence. So that's sort of a fancy way of saying that your brain is really vulnerable in the mornings, and what you take in, it makes a lot more of an impact than after you've had time to wake up and like live your life for a little bit. So I try to be really conscious about what I take in first thing in the morning and what apps I open on my phone first thing in the morning and how I interact, who I read, what I do. So for a while, my ritual was no Instagram before the dog gets walked. Because I felt like that just wasn't a great way to start my day off. It set me down a comparison path and never really made me feel great first thing in the morning, which when that happens, like it really tends to stick with you. No notifications on my work email app. Sorry, Gina. So I never see little badges from the mail app on my phone. And I am ruthless when it comes to muting group text messages. Really dislike group text messages a lot for that reason. And one more thing that came to me that I think Gina is, oh no, maybe not. Oh yeah, phone-free workouts. This is one of the occasions where I feel like technology nudges are actually really healthy, but you know, I like to start my walks or my workouts on my Apple Watch. And when you do that, it automatically sets your phone and your notifications to do not disturb. And I love that. Like, did you not know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So, or at least mine does. I don't know. But so that's one of the reasons that like, it's a little easier for me to ignore my phone during a Peloton workout because nothing's beeping or vibrating at me. Yeah. So fun trick. Check that out on your Apple Watch app if you haven't already.
I'm going to do some deep diving after this and find a help desk article that supports this so that I can share it with all of you, as well as the recording from this after the fact. I love those ads. Okay, I have a couple tech-free rituals. Are you ready? Most of these are new. So my first one is I put my phone to bed when I do a project. So I do the reverse of Kristen. Like I'll start my day with tech. And then, but now that I hear that quote, I don't know if I will anymore. I'll start my day with tech. And then once I sort of start chipping away at a big project, I remove my phone from me as temptation. Actually, Mary was saying that she puts her phone in the bathroom. I put my phone on a charging station in the bathroom too. Like it just sits there until I need it. And then my second one is I actually bulk answer emails. So my team knows this about me. I will actively say I'm bad at emails, but what that really means is I don't answer your email immediately. You'll get an answer probably in the next 48 hours, maybe. because there are other things to do besides answer emails. And then Kristen, don't worry, I actually don't get any notifications from any apps except for texts, because they were making me feel stressed. I take one tech-free dog walk a day. And that tends to be the lunch dog walk. So I'm taking like a mindful break, and then phone-free workouts. Those are my sort of phone-free, technology-free moments throughout the day. And I think by spreading them out this way, I don't need an entire day tech-free. I think Kuile like basically puts a whole day of these practices into his week. So this works for me. Any reaction to this? Let us know in the chat, but we're going to jump ahead so we can get to everything today.
I want to hear how everyone else takes tech breaks.
Yeah, I can't wait. Keep chatting while we talk about this slide. Kristen, do you want to talk about eating, or do you want me to talk about it?
I think it's my turn.
Yeah, you can do it.
All right. So next up, Kuile talks about eating communally, which is like an age-old, centuries-old way of connecting with others. So his steps to creating a communal eating ritual, having a ritual for before. So,
What, did I mess it up?
yeah, a little bit. But I can ad lib off of here. So following our pattern, intention. So understanding what you want to get from this time of eating communally. What's the point? Who do you want to be there at your gathering? And then we go into attention. So paying attention to all of the senses during this meal. How does everything taste? Really savoring it, thinking about how you would describe this meal to a friend, listening to the conversations around you, to the sound that your utensils are making, taking in the sight of the food, really noticing, every char mark or every little like ripple in the whipped cream, really being super mindful during this communal eating. And I think this also applies to like paying attention to who you're with, because the whole point is to be eating communally and to use that as a way to connect with others. So you want that attention to include, being present in the moment in terms of your conversations and the connections that you're making with the people around you.
Yes.
And finally, repetition, making it a habit. So doing it on a weekly basis or a quarterly basis or every year on Friendsgiving would be a great example.
Oh, I love that.
How'd I do?
You did great. And what I meant to put in here, Kuile recommends a ritual for before you eat. And that can be anything. That can be expressing gratitude. I love to make people do pit and peak. It is my favorite thing to do for people. And we also on our team meeting do some variation of that every day with the Sweat Life. It's not a meal, but it is the shared ritual of daily meeting at 10 a.m. We talk about one good thing before we start our day, which delights me. Let's do our Lectio Divina. Are we ready? Yeah. The chat is blowing up and it is making me so happy. This is exactly what I thought adult reading rainbow would be. Okay, so the first quote is from Kuile, page 67 in the hardcover. And the second quote is not from, oh guys, I messed up the Lectio Divina. I didn't update this slide. So what I want you to do instead is I want you to reflect. I want you to reflect on your eating rituals now. Are you paying attention to the food you eat? Are you sharing meals with friends and loved ones, even if that's over Zoom? And what's a ritual you'd love to bring back into your life? Kristen, what's a ritual you miss right now? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about two. One is something that Gina knows about me, and one is a surprise. So the first one is that I have been the self-proclaimed president of my own pizza club for like the past 4 years at this point. And Pizza Club is a club where you go to different restaurants and you eat pizza with your friends. And sometimes Pizza Club happens at your house. And most of the time it's at a restaurant, or as in the case of the past year, it's everyone ordering or making their own pizza and then getting on Zoom. So Pizza Club has been a super fun thing. And it's just, I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, Pizza Club. And then the second one was when I was in high school. My friends and I, my senior year, decided to do Waffle House Fridays. And I don't know where we got this idea or why we did it, because it meant getting up stupid early for a high schooler on a Friday to go to Waffle House and order your hash browns and your chocolate chip waffle before you had to go to school at 8:30 a.m. But that is like one of the things that I look back on my senior year, like most fondly, was just Waffle House Fridays. And there was, usually a core crew and then a rotating cast of supporting characters. And those were some of the best mornings of my life.
Oh, I love that. I actually did know Waffle House Fridays. Yeah, I forget why we talked about this before. Actually, I think you talked about it on the podcast once. We were doing the daily distance. And I remember thinking, it is so lovely that Kristen's food rituals all revolve around Friday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the way the Pizza Friday or the Pizza Club has evolved during the pandemic, is Pizza Fridays, where every Friday me and my boyfriend would order pizza from a different place, or we would make it ourselves. And if someone was around who could take it in with us safely, they were there too. So it was awesome.
I love that. Sarah Pernay said, Kristen, my friends and I did Baker Square Wednesday weekly in high school.
What is Baker Square?
You don't know Baker Square? Maybe it's Midwest. They have pies and like a full diner menu.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's the exact same ethos. So yes, Sarah, we would have been high school friends.
Mm-hmm. And then Kelsey.
That's so good. Yeah, Sunday, that really helps fight the Sunday scaries, I feel like.
So in my house, are you ready for our food ritual?
Mm-hmm.
It has definitely been a quarantine ritual, but I think that it'll probably continue. We do Burger Friday. Apparently on Team of Sweat Life, we love to celebrate Friday. It is a 3-part ritual. So my husband and I get burgers and French fries. Right now it has been small cheval. Caroline, you know what's coming. It has been small cheval for the past few months, and I don't want to move on, but my husband thinks we should start trying new burgers. So I guess that's compromise, #marriage. We will do that this week. And then the second rule is that it's actually the meal itself is phone free. The evening is not, but the meal is, and we talk about our week, which is lovely. He hates the phone free part, but he's getting used to it. And then for dessert, we actually do this same dessert ritual every Friday. We have, I don't have one with me, just like these white kitchen mugs. We put ice cream in the mugs, Nick's ice cream. And then we top them with Enjoy Life chocolate chips and sit on the couch and watch Shark Tank every single Friday. You would think as an entrepreneur that I wouldn't want to watch that every week, but I actually love it. I love these people. So would love to hear any rituals that you have around foods.
Pizza Sunday nights, Pizza Friday. I mean, it's just inherent in the concept of pizza is that it's a party. It's a communal eating ritual.
And I like that. I like that we're celebrating almost like the ritual of closing out the week too. Like this week has come to an end, and this meal celebrates that.
Yeah, that's what happy hour used to be. Yeah. Remember happy hour?
Yeah, I sure do. Okay, let's jump ahead. And it wouldn't be a sweat life if we didn't talk about the shared ritual of working out. We've got, did you just do the Pizza from the Olsen twins, Kristen? Yes. Casey, if you're out there, I know that you know every Olsen twin song. So this could be a shared moment of joy. And then Sarah said at the beginning of the pandemic, we made Pancake Saturdays a trend. I like that for you. All right. Working out, it connects us with others. I stole your joy from you on the last slide, Kristen. Do you want to share this one, or do you want me to take it?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. So Kuile actually wrote a paper for the Harvard Divinity School examining how millennials specifically gather. It's called How We Gather. And it is incredible because it talks a lot about 1, fitness, and 2, shared meals. It is lovely. And it is also kind of a good primer for this book. I didn't realize I had been quoting it all of my life. And then I read the book and I went, wait, I know that piece. So as he wrote that piece, he examined a couple of key communities: CrossFit, Soul Cycle, and more. So the ritual of working out helps you connect with others in a couple of key ways. The first one is permission. We found it at Sweat Life, and it's also like pretty present throughout Kuile's work, that good instructors give adults permission to make friends. We know that it gets harder and harder as we get older to just walk up to someone on a playground and say, will you be my friend? That doesn't happen as much in adulthood. So a good instructor gives you a moment and they facilitate introductions, handshakes, probably not in the pandemic, maybe like an elbow bump. And congratulations on big milestones. They give you that moment. And the second point is that physical exercise gives us a practice. So it gives us the same sort of characteristics of all of these other rituals. It keeps us coming back to a place, to a time, in contact with the same group of people in a community. You have all of the necessary ingredients of a community right there to be stirred. And then the third, and I think most important ingredient, is it taps into vulnerability. There's this sort of moment, I think runners in the house, Kristen, you probably connect with this too. When you're out on a long run and you're shoulder to shoulder with someone and you find yourself divulging like your deepest, darkest secrets, and you're like, why? Why am I doing that? There's actually research that shows once you're physically exhausted, your walls come down. So you're more likely to sort of connect with someone in a vulnerable way, which leads to longer lasting connections and helps you build community. Delightful.
I'm also thinking about here, a thing that those all have in common is that you're side by side with someone rather than face to face. You know, they always say that it's easier to have hard conversations. Like, I'm thinking the advice they always give parents of teenagers is like, if you need to have a hard conversation with your teenager, get them in the car and drive somewhere a long way away, because they're side to side and they're stuck in the car with you. And that little less intense version of eye contact makes it easier to be a little more vulnerable too. But that is a diversion.
I love that. Are we ready for our Lectio Divina?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Okay, 2 quotes. We're going to read them back to back and compare kind of our reactions to each of them. The first one is from Kuile. It's page 98 in the hardcover. It goes as follows. Our emotional brain is less inhibited when we're exhausted, meaning that intense workouts can give us a powerful emotional release. That sort of moment we talked about of having that intensity and then feeling the emotions afterwards. Kristen, anything come up for you there? Besides the teenager in the car?
Just the fact that like it's become almost, I don't want to say a cliche, but not unexpected for people to cry during like emotional cycling classes, especially I think being in the dark lights really helps that too. But I didn't know that about less inhibition being around when you're exhausted. But it makes total sense because it takes a lot of energy to like keep your walls up and to guard yourself and protect yourself.
Yeah, love that. Okay, second quote is from a famous psychologist, Carl Jung. The quote goes as follows: "Man needs difficulties. They are necessary for health." I chose this quote because I think difficulties can be interpreted a couple ways, both in obstacles we encounter in our regular life and also in physical obstacles like a hard workout. So I'm curious, let's reflect. Which community or communities do these readings make you think of? It sounds like Kristen's thinking about cycling.
Yeah. And also I think just how making a workout a ritual has become the goal of so many fitness companies. Like there's literally a yoga studio called Ritual. Mm-hmm. And that's the aspiration for, you know, new cycling places or, you know, connected fitness apps is like ingraining themselves in your everyday life, but not as a habit, as something that's a little more sacred to where you prioritize it above other things that are demanding your attention.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot about yoga when I read these 2 quotes too, because there's always that moment of like the peak pose in a class as well, where you're working your way up to something very hard. And then when you achieve it, it's something you talk about afterwards. Like you tell the teacher, the instructor, I can't believe I finally did a headstand, or I can't believe I X, Y, and Z. And it's a lovely moment of achievement and also hard work. Mm-hmm. All right, let's jump ahead. Examples. Kristen, you want to share your examples?
Yeah, I kept you guys in surprise with my very sparse bullet points this time, I'm realizing. Yeah, and I feel kind of, again, like a cliche saying this, but Peloton and running clubs are the 2 that spring to my mind most right off the bat. Peloton, I think they do such a good job encouraging interaction among their members and facilitating community. Obviously, while you're physically riding the bike via the leaderboard, but also in the ways that they engage with their community by offering these new partnerships, like what they did with Shonda Rhimes, or by working with these really exciting musical artists to showcase their sounds and to get people involved. And their latest initiative with Alex Toussaint leading the bike competition between his two teams is just sort of another way to get people connected and get them excited as a way to show up for themselves on the bike and, you know, keep those benefits going off the bike. And then running clubs are the other way that I've really examined or felt like rituals and more so community over the past several years. So with the running clubs, you know, you are showing up at the same time, same day, every week at the same place. Maybe you're doing a different number of miles, maybe your pace differs, maybe you run with someone else every time, but the sanctity of the like long run Sundays or long run Saturdays is something that you hear runners talk about all the time, and making that time for themselves to really go after something that is maybe a little scarier than what they would go for during the week, and prioritizing that with others around them to make that goal a little more achievable.
Love that. Love that. Okay, I'm actually going to divulge a little secret of the Sweat Life community with you all this evening. So we actually have a shared ritual that we put at the beginning of our regular life, regular world events. And that shared ritual is meant to do the exact thing that Kuile talks about, creates connection, gives you like that camp counselor personality leading the group and permission to connect as well. So if you've ever been to one of our events in person, or even if you haven't, you may have experienced this on some of our virtual events. We do something at the beginning, which forces you to make a friend. So what we start with is we make a fool of ourselves. So one of us gets up in front of a group and waves their arms and shouts loud noises and gets people hyped for the experience that's coming. And what that's meant to do is make it more accessible for the attendees who are there to put themselves out there, because we've already done it. We've already kind of made a fool of ourselves. So you don't have to worry about it. That person in front is already the weirdo. And then we do a couple of things to make sure that people know they're not the only one who's new and they're not the only one who is there to make friends. So we ask people to answer a couple of questions. And the first one, it's kind of a call and response. We ask, who is brand new to X workout? And then we see people raise their hands and everyone cheers. And you're looking around if you are new and you realize, it's okay to be new. A delightful moment. And then the second thing we ask is, if people are brand new to the workout itself or to the event itself, to a Sweat Life, and they raise their hand and we clap for them to make it a welcoming, exciting moment. And then after that, once we sort of see that people are new, they're excited, they're new to the workout, we ask people to find two people, introduce themselves to those people, and we always give them a conversation prompt. Without a conversation prompt, most adults will just shake a hand, say their name, and walk away. So we give them about 2 minutes to make two friends. And we see that it just changes the energy. Wouldn't you say, Kristen?
Yeah, 100%. And it is definitely one of those things that like you feel super goofy doing it the first time. But by the end, or not by the end, but like within a couple of events, especially since we tend to have a lot of repeat people come to our events, like you see the people who were super shy the first time, like initiating it later on.
It's a deep joy. All right, let's
Gina loved it. Gina like shamelessly gets very camp counselor about this.
I super love it. And I'll never stop. All right, we've got two important things to get through. And I think that it's going to really round the night out. First, we're going to workshop a ritual, and then we're going to do a ritual together. So what I'd love everyone here to do is to either pull out a piece of paper, a note in their phone, or a note on their computer. And let's think through these 5 questions. You don't have to answer them tonight, but I think it's a good thing to walk away from this thinking about. Kristen, go ahead.
I was just going to say, in the meantime, too, if you have any other examples of fitness rituals that we didn't cover, please share them in the comments.
Share them. Yeah, and if you also have any questions for the author of this book, Share those in the chat as well, because we'll be speaking with him Friday. So we'll ask him your questions and we'll make sure he knows your name too. Okay, let's leave tonight with a ritual. So first, what I want you to do is pick a sphere of ritual. So something that you want this ritual to impact or be a part of, either reading, tech breaks, eating communally, working out with others. There are some other things we didn't touch on too that Kuile covers in the book, like celebrating the seasons and connecting with nature, and there's more and more and more. So if those really kind of stand out to you, write those down too. Connecting with nature kind of stands out for me right now. I'd love to spend more time in the woods. And then once you've sort of thought about the ritual itself, or what sphere you want that ritual to impact, I'd love us to think about our intention. So what do you want to get out of it? What do you want to feel while you're walking in the woods, while you're working out, while you're eating with friends, maybe on Zoom, or maybe outside, or maybe inside if you're feeling super sassy and vaccinated? What do you want to get out of it? A clearer mind, rest, recovery, a deeper connection with your family, a deeper knowledge of the passage of time. Why is it important is the big question. And then let's think about attention. How will you dedicate your attention to this practice and be fully present? So for me, we've got a doggo. For me, if I think about walking through the woods, my main objective to paying attention to that is to use all of my senses. So what I would want to do is I would want to leave my phone in a pocket, emergencies only, and take it out for one photo. But for the rest of my time in the woods, I would want to be smelling, seeing, looking up and down, and feeling things like touching trees. Grounding is a practice people love to do in the woods. And then from there, how frequently do you want to do this practice? Do you want to do this weekly, monthly, quarterly? What's reasonable for you, your life, your schedule, and your feelings? And then finally, is this practice helping you connect with yourself or with others? Both are valid and both are important.
And maybe right before you start workshopping this, if you have your Nick's ice cream on hand, take it out of the freezer so that it's ready for us to make a ritual out of here in a few minutes. Because I like to let mine get a little soft, so it's not straight out of the freezer.
Very good ad, Kristen. I've had mine out the whole time, and it's actually probably going to be perfect. I'm ready for it. So does anyone want to share a ritual that you're thinking about? You can share with your voice or type it in the chat. Up to you, friends. Yeah.
Okay. I want feedback. So my friend Jackie, who was on this at the beginning, but had to drop for a conflict that she had at 6:30. So we both read this book, Power of Ritual. And something we've been talking about is so I'm not sure if this was in the eating communally or if it was a different chapter. I can't remember, but he talked about like a dinner party for people who are going through grief.
Yes.
And we have been thinking about the dinner party and like wanting to institute it. And we were throwing around a couple different ideas, but then what we ultimately were trying to think through is the vulnerability dinner. So like people just like coming together and just like sharing vulnerable things. So like, it doesn't even have to be vulnerable. Like I was just more so thinking like, not just like the small talk of like, hey, how are you? But like, it just like, let's talk about like something that you've experienced in your life and like a story that you have or whatever. But what we're currently faced with is like how to not be exclusive about it. Like, because I'm like overly inclusive and I feel like a lot of people in a sweat life are the same way. But I think that the importance of the ritual is that other people are also doing the ritual, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like people are committed to it, but also like making it, like making sure that it's small enough that we can share and like have dinner together. And it's like not like you're not able to speak with everyone or whatever. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? And like, I don't know if it's best to just like be overly inclusive and then just like depend on people backing out of it like every month, or if I should just be like more intentional about keeping it small. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I have a couple. What first came to mind with me was like anytime you hear about or like see about represented in a movie or a story or whatever is like Alcoholics Anonymous meetings where you don't have to speak every time you go, you know, sort of creating that same environment where it's welcome for anyone who's ready to get up and share, but you're not feeling pressured to do so. And then the other wavelength I was going on was, I think I'm like you. I like the idea of inviting everybody and sort of letting people self-select if they're going to share. But I wonder if it would be something that you and your friend could do once you sort of see the list of who will be there, to like reach out individually to people that you kind of know and trust, to sort of get the conversation started, and to like maybe feel a little bit more comfortable being that first one on the dance floor, so to speak.
That's a really good idea. I really like that. Heck yeah. Okay, this was helpful.
Oh, perfect. I have one thing to add, and then we'll eat our ice cream together in a ritual format. So what I love about that is it's repeatable. But I think you could teach people how to do it themselves too. So you don't have to be the only vulnerability dinner. Like, you could create the format, the before dinner ritual, the conversation topic that you're going to talk about that evening, and the post dinner ritual, and then share it almost like chapters. Let people do their own thing. If you let go of control, magical things happen.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, because like, I also think, I mean, that's what happened with the dinner party, where it was like, everyone was really into it. So then they were like, okay, we have to grow it. And I'm like, I don't know if that would be what happens, but I'm also, I don't know, like, I feel like the thing that we're definitely struggling with the most is more so like what feels authentic. And it's like, what feels authentic is to be overly inclusive, but we also don't want to be intimidated. Like, it's just like a hard line, but I like the idea of being inclusive, but also not setting the expectation that someone has to participate, or that you can share what we're doing and then not everyone has to do it with us. Okay, these are really good ideas. I appreciate you guys.
Okay, perfect. Loved that share. Excellent share. Shall we ritual?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, so while our friend does a dance with her Nicks, I'd love to start our shared ritual with a little gratitude. We love gratitude at A Sweat Life. It grounds us in our lives and the work we do. So I would like to express my gratitude to the group. So thank you to the group for joining us for one of a kind reverse book club that you could enjoy even if you didn't read the book. And I'd like to express my gratitude for Nicks for creating the ritual with us, something that we can enjoy together. I want you to think about wherever you are, think about what you're grateful for, or what being a part of a group tonight has given you. And then I also want us all to express gratitude for ourselves. We all chose to be here. We all gave something up. Hi, Will. So that we could be here this evening. What was it that past you did for present you? Or are you just grateful that you're alive and are a human who has thoughts and feelings and emotion? That's valid too. And then the last thing, for the thing you're about to enjoy, for your Nicks, or if you didn't get your coupon yet, for your tea. Okay, so let's dig in. What I want us to do is open up our Nicks and take a look at the actual ice cream itself. This is my favorite flavor, so I've had a lot of it already. What was that?
Hold it up.
Let's see. Well, I had it out too long, so it melted. It was an hour. It was melting time. Don't worry, Erica, it was a long time. So what I want you to do is look at the color and look at the texture. Look at it with your senses, and then maybe dip a spoon in it. And really think about all of the work that went into making this product, the creaminess, the churning of it. This is the result of a lot of humans and machines coming together to make you something. So once you've done that, let's take a bite. Put the food in your mouth, or drink the tea, or whatever it is you're ritualing with us. And I'm gonna break my mom's rule and talk with my mouth full. So think about where the flavor lands on your tongue. Is it in the middle of your tongue, the front of your tongue? What are you experiencing? Sweetness, fruitiness? Does it have an oaky aftertaste? I'm just kidding, it's not like. What is it that you're getting from this? I'm experiencing a flavor of birthday cake. So it gives me this sort of sense of funfetti in my mouth. And then take one more bite. Do the same thing again. Repeat it. Kelsey, I have the inside scoop. I ordered it on the internet. You can get birthday cake online. So if the flavor is not available at your local grocery, you can get anything you like online most of the time. Okay, do it one more time. And then I just want to tell you one last time. Ooh, Erica, that was a good bite. I just want to tell you one last time that I'm so grateful to you for joining us in this. Kristen, anything you want to add about future book clubs?
Yeah, so we are announcing this, I think officially tomorrow, knock on, whatever desk this is.
Knock on desk.
But we are partnering with a really new, exciting company called Fable that is making the book club a more social experience to where you can read along with your friends. They've got this really awesome functionality where you can download an ebook to your phone or your tablet and then read along with your friends by highlighting different passages, starting discussions right in there. It's like a super functional and like in the moment way to do book club rather than like waiting for a monthly meeting that you may or may not get to go to. So we are kicking it off either this week or next with the book Bravey by Alexi Pappas, which Spotlight ambassadors and community members will have probably seen me and Gina talking about before in different arenas of our life, but we're super excited about it. So if you want to get in on that with us, go ahead and download the Fable app. It's free to just download, and we'll send through a more specific invite link to our like specific club later on. And it does work best if you buy the book through Fable so that you can like use the functionality within the app. But if you're just reading offline with your own hard copy or with a library copy, we'll make ways for you guys to join the discussion as well. So stay tuned.
Amazing. We'll give Erica a chance to say goodbye to us too, but I know a lot of you signed up for this and watch this later. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can do any of this stuff that we did together tonight, any of these rituals, anytime. So just think about your life at whatever point in the day you are in. Erica, any parting thoughts you'd like us to hear?
No, this was so wonderful. I loved this. Thank you so much, Gina and Kristen. Yeah, I appreciate all of you taking some time. And if any of you didn't receive your coupon, just fill out that form that Gina sent and we'll get one in the mail too. We can't email free coupons, but we want you to get a free pint. So just fill that out and we'll get that to you. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. This was truly a lovely end to my Tuesday. So thanks so much, guys.
Nice little Tuesday. Thank you, friends, so much. I will send you off with one more reading. Rainbow. Good night. Thank you. Thank you, friends.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.